Decoding time, decades and centuries. Hello, English learners. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we are going to explore an essential topic that is incredibly useful in day-to-day conversations as well as in understanding history. Decades and centuries. So, sit back, relax, and let's unravel the mystery of time-related vocabulary in the English language. A decade refers to a period of 10 years. For example, the period from 2010 to 2019 makes up a decade. The terms we often use for specific decades are the 60s, 1960 to 1969, the 70s, 1970 to 1979, and so on. A century, on the other hand, is a period of 100 years. The 20th century, for instance, started in 1901 and ended in 2000. When we say, in the 18th century, we are referring to a time that spans from the year 1701 to 1800. Now that we know what decades and centuries are, let's learn how to use them in sentences. When talking about a decade, you might say, my grandparents were born in the 60s. This means they were born sometime between 1960 and 1969. For a century, you could say, the first car was invented in the 19th century. This implies that the first car was invented between 1801 and 1900. Even though decades and centuries are straightforward to understand, there are some common mistakes learners often make. Let's learn how to avoid them. The most common mistake is the misunderstanding of the time span. Remember, when we refer to a particular decade, like the 1980s, we mean the years from 1980 to 1989, not 1981 to 1990. Similarly, for centuries, the 20th century, for example, includes the years 1901 through 2000, not 1900 through 1999. And that wraps up our lesson on decades and centuries. You're now equipped to better understand and use these important terms when talking about periods in history or significant times in your life. Keep practicing, and soon, using these time-related terms will become second nature to you. Remember, every decade and every century brings a unique story to tell, and now, you're well prepared to understand and share these stories. See you in our next lesson.